have a second chance. I never thought that was possible.
It's not like last time. There's no secrets now.
We could be happy, couldn't we?
He's a man who put on a suicide vest, Carrie. That's who he is. That's who he always will be.
Well, you're not scared of the ugly things I've done.
I am, though. You do scare me, Brody.
Why would I do this?
I can't see into your fucking soul, Brody.
It was Nazir. He played us all from the beginning.
Preliminary forensics suggest the bomb was in his car.
I'm gonna clear your name, Brody.
Came so close.
Why do I feel like this?
Goodbye, love.
The reason why we called it The Choice was a bit of a feint, because we wanted to lull the audience into thinking, halfway through this piece that this is what the finale is. It's Carrie making this very, very difficult decision about the course that her life is going to follow. And we thought that the surprise would be greater, therefore, when the terrorist event happened and really catch people by surprise.
I thought it was just brilliant. When Alex told me, the way he wanted to end it, it was one of those one-day epiphanies, which is, oh yeah, that's it.
The writers have constantly surprised us and the audience by whipping the rug out from under people's feet earlier and quicker than I think the audience have expected.
I was stunned, overwhelmed, and astounded at what they brought everything to after 2 years.
It was surprising, but also I found it very moving. And it was nice in the finale to return to scenes that were a little bit quieter and more human.
We wanted to start the episode at the cabin because we thought that if indeed these two were going to have a romantic ride into the sunset, that this is where it would start.
To me, Carrie and Brody and their relationship is the emotional heart of the show. I love watching them together, but there's always an obstacle, and we wanted to see them in a place for a window of time where there wasn't an obstacle, and being together was actually possible, and there were no lies, there were no agendas.
But it's about two people deluding themselves into thinking they have a future with each other, and the entire set piece that takes place at the cabin dramatizes that delusion.
I think we were teasing some sort of hope, only then to kind of explode it.
We just felt that the dynamics of the drama couldn't sustain this high-pitched, demented love story beyond 12 more episodes.
It was important to us as storytellers to have Brody disengage from his family so that it could open up the possibility of a future for Brody and Carrie. And indeed, he turns over his family to Mike Faber.
Brody is put in increasingly impossible situations. He has to come back, he has to lie again to his family, to his wife, and yet again, Faber is the solid, dependable guy who's there for her. And that turns out to be too strong an impulse for her to resist.
It's no surprise, I think, that the season ends with them together, because he's absolutely the glue that's going to hold the family together.
There's a big shift in the dynamics. Dana sees her dad in a different light.
She grows impatient with her dad's lies, and she starts to support Faber and get used to having Faber around.
And I was really excited about the one scene in particular with Brody, where he finally tells me the truth, and I kind of shut him down.
It mirrors the scene last year when she knocks on the bedroom door and I don't let her in the room because I'm trying on my suicide vest.
So you were gonna do those things?
But I didn't. And I wouldn't now.
But that's too much information for a 16-year-old to take on. And their relationship is left estranged.
As you watch the sweep of the last couple of episodes of season 2, we do tie up a lot of storylines. And one of the big ones that we tie up is the whole idea that Quinn had been brought onto this investigation by David Estes to end Brody's life at some point.
I think someone like Estes takes this very personally. He takes the fact that Brody almost killed the vice president and almost killed him extremely personally. And it's time to take this guy out. I know the audience loves him. But as far as Estes is concerned, he's a dangerous, loose cannon.
Alex, Gansa and Howard Gordon were very mysterious in terms of describing my character or discussing my character with me. I think partly because they were keeping that particular element of the story pretty secret from everyone, even the guy playing him. And partly because they were still figuring it out, and I know that it underwent a lot of changes as they went along.
Nothing happens to Brody. Or
that was a piece of storytelling which allows you to have your sort of cake and eat it, which is have the guy make the right decision and then shove it up the backside of the person making the wrong decision.
But if you think about it, if indeed his plan had come to fruition and Quinn had killed Brody, there would have been no attack on the CIA. So maybe he was actually the smarter one of everybody.
somebody moved my car.
What are you talking about?
I didn't park it there. I parked in lot C.
Oh, fuck.
The president joins me in expressing his deepest sadness.
If you look at that entire sequence that starts when Carrie and Brody arrive in Saul's office, that was probably the piece of film that we spent the most time in the editing room getting right. Because what we wanted to make clear in that sequence was that Nazir's mission in America was really a suicide mission.
It was so sort of fiendishly clever because it's taking out our intelligence apparatus. It's taking out the leadership of the guys whose job it is to stop 9/11. I mean, that's kind of horribly clever.
Nazir, in essence, killed himself in order to have the CIA drop their guard and therefore make the attack against the CIA more likely and more possible. So that's why we coupled all those images.
The one risk, I think, was having such a downer at the end. I mean, Abu Nazir wins from the grave. That was potentially, and may still be potentially, a challenging thing for an audience to face.
The devastation of this attack, it's horrifying, and I think it was depicted very well.
We looked at images of all kinds of terrorist attacks, you know, from embassies to barracks to 9/11 itself. And because we're on a limited budget, we had to carefully construct our images to maximally achieve that feeling of, oh my God, this is the next 9/11. This is the next terrorist attack on this country in a big sense.
It evokes the damage. You see enough detail, and it's horrifying, but you understand you're only seeing part of some larger catastrophe.
We very much tried to be true to the architecture and the physics of the bomb. And I hope we did that well, and I hope what you see here is what it would actually look like if it actually happened in real life.
One kind of interesting note is that where we built that set, we'd originally intended to build that in some supermarket parking lot. But we were very worried that if we did that, the word would get out that a major terrorist attack happens in the last episode of Homeland. So we wound up building that entire set at an abandoned tobacco factory in Charlotte, which was behind gates, so nobody knew what was happening. So we had this kind of crazy post-apocalyptic scene taking place.
It's always challenging material. I mean, Homeland is like, it's a large world because we're trying to do stuff that's like geopolitical, it's international. See, you know, when the writers write that Abu Nazir is buried at sea, you have to shoot that.
I never thought they would get the ship and everything. I wrote it just like hoping.
You have to shoot underwater to see the body. So we're gonna build a miniature Abu Nazir, you know, shrouded, and we're gonna go into a pool that's been blacked and shoot in slow motion as the body sinks into the depths.
We wanted to bury him at sea the way we did bin Laden. We did it pretty much exactly as the United States did it with bin Laden, and for the same reasons.
It is incredibly important that when certain events are portrayed, they be portrayed accurately.
You know, how do you bury him the way his religion demands? And what do we do as the military and as the CIA to make sure he's disposed of in a way that is not celebrated or leaves a mark to become a pedestal or anything like that?
But really the most important reason for the burial at sea was that we could take Saul Berenson off campus, out of the CIA, to supervise this event so that when the bomb went off, we could have Saul live throughout the season.
This is when I was happy or grateful that Alex is running the show, because saying goodbye to characters who you love couldn't have been a harder thing. But at the same time, we're telling a story that has stakes, And the way you sort of define that this is a show that has real stakes is by losing some of your, beloved characters.
It's funny, our whole little family unit, Bill, Cynthia, Finn, within a week, we were all dead.
One thing we did know at the beginning of the season was that the vice president would die. We knew Nazir would die. And we were fairly certain that we were going to have to sacrifice a major character.
There was quite a pitch given that Brody would get killed at the end of season 2, and that would be shocking to everybody, but it would be a perfect kind of symmetry. But I think once they decided that they weren't going to kill Brody, they just thought, well, kill everybody else.
We didn't know who we were going to kill off for a while, and part of that is because I think we were just in a certain amount of denial about losing people we love on the show.
We finally settled on David Estes, and the reason we did is because the whole set piece at the end takes place at the vice president's memorial service at the CIA, and we knew that the person that would be speaking at that would naturally be David Estes, and therefore he was the one who was going to die in the explosion.
Let me tell you, I was really gutted. When I got the call, I was gutted because I never knew where this whole thing was going. I never knew where season 2 was going, but I had an inkling. I had the scene with Mandy where, for the very first time in this whole show, my character said something like, "Oh, that's it, I'm done."
I'm cooked either way. I'm done.
And I thought to myself, wow, he's vulnerable. That was the first time I thought the character was vulnerable.
Oh, I was sad because David Harewood, who plays David Estes, is one of my favorite people. I love him so much, and it's always shocking to lose a key player in a series like this, and I guess it's inevitable.
We have to go.
What do you mean, go where?
No one else will believe you. We have to go. We have to go right now.
What was really good about season 2 was the inversion that Carrie started season 1 being the only one who thought Brody was a terrorist, and everyone else thinks he's a hero. And at the end of season 2, Carrie is the only one who believes in his innocence, and everybody else is convinced of his guilt.
First, her assumption is he did this. And then as he lays it out, he's right. I mean, why would I do this at this point? Don't you see? We've been played. And she's only got seconds to decide. Because if he's right, then she's got to get him out of there.
The original conception of the end of the season actually had Carrie, after saying goodbye to Brody, thinking for a beat, could she really let this man leave, possibly never to see him again?
Until very late in the game, there was an idea that Carrie would go with Brody. I was a big advocate of that, and I think actually it got into the first draft, and it did not feel right.
You're not coming, are you?
I want to.
And it seemed very clear that couldn't happen because of what had happened, that Carrie is still defined very much by her mission, that this was a professional blow to Carrie. She was blindsided by it, ambushed by it, and feels responsible for it.
I think that she believes that the choice is inevitable. It's hard to turn away from tragedy of this scope and scale, and that's the only thing that would interfere with her pursuit of this relationship, which she finds incredibly compelling.
So in a way, she makes two decisions at the end. She makes a decision to help this man over the border into Canada. That's insane. She's a CIA officer. How sure is she that he didn't do it? The other choice she made, though, is not to go with him. So it's a completely schizophrenic thing she's doing. She's in a way trying to have both things, which is always her impulse and always what gets her in trouble, because you can't do both things.
I think that the episode proved once and for all whether a happy ending was possible between Carrie and Brody. And I think the answer was probably that it's not possible.
The end of season 2 suggested a lot of things that we are exploiting, certainly at the beginning of season 3.
What happened to Brody? And what can Carrie do to help him?
Brody's in the wind, Quinn's in the wind, and I'm excited for the future, like where did Quinn go and what can we do with him next season?
What happens to the family that discovers their father is this terrorist?
Who moved Brody's car will be addressed in the third season. It's not like that's just going to vanish.
And we're going to follow the story of how Carrie and Saul reconcile not only with each other, but with the world, what happened at the CIA.